Minnesota is home to 81,000 farms, covering 27 million of the state's 54 million acres, and dairy is the second largest agricultural business in Minnesota. And I have close ties to the dairy industry, especially this year. On August 24, 2011, I was crowned as the 58th Princess K of the Milky Way.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, your 58th Princess K of the Milky Way, Mary Zahurones! You are going to be representing the dairy industry for the next year in the state of Minnesota.
And I can't wait to get out there and share my story and share the farmers of Minnesota's story.
My first duty as Princess K? To get my head carved out of 90 pounds of dairy butter. The rest of my year as Princess K consists of visiting agricultural functions, Fuel Up to Play 60 events, media interviews, and classroom visits all across Minnesota.
I live on one of the 4,500 dairy farms in Minnesota. This is why I care. Why should you?
Because with all of their milk production, cows produce another product that is vital to agriculture, manure. And manure can affect you in ways you've probably never thought about. In an average day of grazing, milking, and mooing about, one dairy cow can produce 100 pounds of manure and urine.
How does manure help or harm water around a dairy farm?
In terms of like manure management, we know that manure has a lot of nutrients, which is a positive thing to have, and we use those nutrients to grow our plants. So most dairy farmers, they will go and collect the manure from their storage area and then go and apply it to crops. And that manure will provide the nitrogen and the phosphorus and the potassium needed to grow those crops. It also provides organic matter. It also provides some of the micronutrients. Again, some of those nutrients that we need to grow our crops in general. Then it can become a problem. So if we apply more nitrogen than what the plant needs, than what the plant is going to take, if we apply more nitrogen than what the corn is going to be taking up, then the nitrogen can leach into the groundwater, for example, and become an environmental problem.
Excess nitrogen and phosphorus runoff can cause harmful algae blooms, which make recreational waters unsafe for humans and life-threatening to fish populations.
What I do as an extension educator in the University of Minnesota is like we try to educate farmers about these issues. How can we manage our nutrients so that we don't pollute our waters?
Right, because dairy farmers can be drinking that water or playing in that water too.
Exactly.
Hi, Tim Zweber. I'm the fourth generation to farm at this farm. We're 106 years old this year. We have dairy cows and we also raise beef, pork, and chickens. We are going to talk about manure management today. Right now I'm standing in front of a pile of manure.
What kind of manure management techniques do you use on your farm, and how does composting help with your manure management?
All summer we graze the cows out in the pastures, and so the cows haul their own manure. Then in the winter it's frozen, it snows, so we keep the cows in by the barn, and all winter long we clean up the manure, and when it's frozen we'll pile it up over in this area where I'm standing, and then we'll haul it out in the spring on the fields to give fertility for the plants to grow for the next year's feed production for the cows. But we'll put it in a long windrows, and then we turn it with a skid loader. We just flip it over on itself, and that gets air into the pile, and that the bacteria use to grow, and they use the carbon as a medium, and they break down the carbon with the nutrients and turn it into dirt, basically. Sometimes we'll add something like phosphorus or potassium to the manure that'll help balance out the soil when we haul it out on the fields. Plus it also has the added effect of bacteria need nutrients to grow, and that helps the bacteria.
And how do you know from year to year which nutrients that you need to add? You work with an agronomist?
That's correct. We work with an agronomist. We take soil samples and send them to a lab that analyzes them for their chemical composition, tell you what minerals you have and in what availability they are to the plants.
And with all of these valleys here, how do you make sure that the nutrients don't run into the streams that run through the valleys and go into other water?
That's something we really want to try to avoid, because it's very expensive to buy fertilizer, and the alternative of not having enough is not producing quality feed that makes healthy cows, or not producing enough feed that means we have to buy a lot. And we want to ensure that we keep the maximum amount of nutrients here, because it doesn't do us any good if they go down the river.
My name is Jerry Jennison. Along with my wife, Linda, we own Gerlinde Farms in Bruton, Minnesota. We have 179 dairy cows, along with approximately 150 heifers. So there's around 350 head total cattle. This is the smallest, one of the, if not the smallest farm in the country to have a digester. We are a pilot project to try to show that a digester can work at our size. When it comes to the manure that you're taking and needing to reapply to the soil, it will reduce the biochemical oxygen demand of the manure, so that if you were to have a manure spill, and say manure would flow into a river, it would not deplete the oxygen out of the river after it's been digested. Basically would be harmless, other than for the nutrients. It also breaks the nutrients down so that they are more stable in the ground and more readily available to the plant, so that they can be used as a better source of fertilizer, so that nothing is wasted. You're reducing the carbon footprint of your farm. We accepted the project because we thought it would be a great opportunity for our farm and our family to secure our environmental future, as well as the future of our farm.
Dairy farmers are working hard every day to create the most sustainable practices so that their operation is efficient for years to come.
Whether it is by a simple soil test costing less than $20, or by other methods such as composting or anaerobic digestion, there are many ways dairy farmers can improve manure management to ensure our waters are safe from excess fertilizer pollution. Minnesota dairy farmers are working day and night to make sure their farms are the best they can be for future generations.